5, and we're talking about modern Canada. This part here has a lot of people's names. There's a lot of names in this part. So we'll just go slow. You don't have to remember all the names, but the ideas are important here. Okay, so can you just start where it says a changing society? Can you do that part, please?
Okay. A changing society. As social values changed over more than 50 years, Canada became a more flexible and open society. Social
Society.
Society.
Yeah.
An open society. Many took advantage of expanded secondary and post-secondary educational opportunities and
Good.
opportunities and a growing number of women entered the professional workforce.
Yeah, very good. Workforce. Very good. Okay. So this is just talking about how Canada has changed. It's more flexible and open. So our social values changed over more than 50 years, and Canada became more flexible and open. Do you know what it means when I say flexible and open society? You know what that means?
That means it's open with other countries?
It could be that, but it's also open to ideas, like open to ideas, and flexible meaning different ideas and different ways of living are okay. Yeah, and that could be open to other countries too, but in this place it's talking about open to ideas. Yeah.
Or open mind.
Yeah, open mind, exactly. That's exactly what it means. And then it said many people took advantage of expanding secondary and post-secondary. So secondary means high school, going to high school, and post-secondary means going to college or university. Yeah. And so many people in the last 50 years, most people have their high school, and now a lot of people have their college or university too. And then it says a large number of women are working. In the last 50 years, most women work now in Canada, and 50 years ago it wasn't like that. So the open ideas, open society, people are going to secondary, post-secondary schools, and women are working. That's the ideas in that one. Our social values, You know what it means when I say social values? You know what that means?
No.
What it means is like our social values, what as society means all of us together. That's what society means. So it means what's important to us. That's what it means. Social values means what are the things that are important to us. And so this says education is important to us. Women working if they want to is important to us. And being open-minded, like you said, is important to us. Those are the three things there. Yeah, very good. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Let's go down a little bit further. First, you see this, this is a painting. Can you see in your book, you'll see this, but this is a painting called The Jack Pine by Tom Thomson. He was a famous Canadian painter, and they're going to talk about him later.
Jack Ben Tom.
Yeah, the painter's name is Tom Thompson, and the painting is named the Jack Pine. It's a pine tree. So in northern Canada. I think this one's around Algonquin Park. Yeah, okay, so we'll just do some more of these. Okay, so we talked about open society, we talked about education, and we talked about women entering the workforce. Can you do this part here where it says most Canadians? Can you do that one, please?
Most Canadians of Asian descent had in the past been denied the vote in federal and provincial election. In 1948, the last of these, the Japanese Canadians gained the right to vote. Aboriginal people were granted the vote in 1960. Today, every citizen over the age of 18 may vote.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, the pronunciation was good in that. So it says Canadians of Asian descent. So that means Canadians maybe from China or Vietnam or Hong Kong and Japan, Korea, all those places. So before, they were not allowed to vote in Canada. But in 1948, the Japanese Canadians were allowed to vote. And then Aboriginal people, they were allowed to vote only starting in 1960. That's a very bad thing for Canada to do for so long. Aboriginal people couldn't vote. But anyways, in 1960, they were allowed to vote. And now everybody over the age of 18 or over can vote in Canada. Yeah. So the question, sorry, go ahead.
Japanese Canadian, they can vote before the Aboriginal Canadian?
Yeah, isn't that bad? That's really bad. It's
12,
the Aboriginal people were
before.
20, what is that, like 12 years. Isn't that bad? I'm not too proud of Canada when I see some of these things. Yeah, so the Japanese Canadians could vote before the Aboriginal people. Yeah, so that's not very good at all, but that's our history. And then so the important things to remember here, the questions they might ask on the test here was, when did the Japanese Canadians get the right to vote? So that would be 1948. And then when did Aboriginal people get 1960? And then every citizen over the age of 18 may vote. They might ask a question about what you have to do to vote, or how old you have to be, that type of thing. Okay. So those are the three things you probably want to remember in that part there. 1948, 1960, and every citizen over the age of 18, you have to be a citizen to vote. Yeah.
After 1948, every citizen, after 1960, every citizen over 18 can vote.
Today, so in 1960, the Aboriginal people could vote. The age, I think, has changed over the years. There was a time where women couldn't vote for a long time. But there's a part in the book where we talk about elections, and then they talk about the ages and things like that. But yeah, so the 1960 is the year to remember that Aboriginal people can vote. And now everybody over the age of 18 can vote.
Oh, I mean, when the start every when the everyone. Oh, I mean before uh, the Aboriginal people start voting in 1960,
Yeah,
and
they don't.
which date every citizen can vote. Uh,
I guess it would be 1960, wouldn't it? I guess it would be because yeah, that was the last group um, that was the last group that were not allowed to vote, the Aboriginal people. Because women were able to vote. I might be wrong on this, but so I don't want to be sure, but we'll do that in another section. But women got the right to vote. Japanese people could vote because they couldn't vote during the war, the Second World War, and then Aboriginal people could vote in 1960. So I think maybe you're right. After 1960, maybe everybody over 18 can vote.
okay.
Yeah, and if I'm wrong on that, we'll find that out later when we read about the voting in elections and things like that. Okay, good. So you clearly understand that part. Okay, let's try the next one. It says Canada welcomed thousands of refugees.
Okay. Canada welcomed to ta- Canada welcomed thousands of refugees from communities of oppressors, including about 37,000 who is escaped Soviet Soviet ty- tyranny
Yeah,
Soviet tyranny in Hungary in 1956, with the community's victory in the Fin- Vietnam War. Vietnam War in 1975, many Vietnamese fled, including over 50,000 who sought refuge in Canada.
yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, so Canada has welcomed many thousands of people who are leaving their country if their country is in trouble, refugees. And so this one talks about communist oppression. So the communist governments in Soviet communist, so Russia, in Hungary in 1956. So 37,000 came from Hungary because the Soviet and Russian communist government was oppression. That means when they're making the lives of the people that live in that country very difficult. Oppression. And then the communist side won in Vietnam War in 1975, and then 50,000 Vietnamese people came to Canada. That was a very, very big thing. We had 50,000. I mean, now we have many refugees. It's very important for Canada to have refugees because we're a big country and we have lots of room. And we, the refugees make our country very strong and they're very good addition to our country. Yeah. But the one in particular, the Vietnamese one, they were so many came, and although that whole group of people did really, really well in Canada, many became doctors and they did very, very well. And so yeah, every number of years we have people come from different countries. But this just talks about the two bigger ones. Soviet communists, they were running away from the communists, and then they were also running away from the communists in Vietnam. Yeah. Is that one okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a question they might ask there. Maybe 1956, so they're running away from communist oppression, and then maybe 1975, they're from communist oppression in Vietnam. I mean, those are the kind of questions they would ask there.
Vietnam War.
Vietnam War, 1975, and then Hungary, 1956. Yeah, I think those are the type of questions. I think you'll be okay with these questions, but those are the dates to try to remember there. Okay, let's try a few more. You remember this? You remember this word here? This, I don't know if you can see that on your screen. That big word, the idea of. I think you remember.
Yes, multiculturally.
Yeah, yeah, good. Yeah, can you read that part now too, please?
The idea of multiculturalism as a result of 19th and 20th century immigration gained a new impetus, but the 1960s, 1/3 of Canadians had origins that were neither British nor French, and took pride in breastfeeding their distinct culture in the Canadian fabric. Fabric or fabric?
Yeah, fabric was good. Yeah.
Fabric. Today, diversity enriched Canadians live practically in our cities.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So multiculturalism.
Multiculturalism, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always a very big word for Canada. So 19th and 20th century. So the 1800s and the 1900s. We had lots of immigration, lots of people coming to Canada, and so that's when multiculturalism was very important, because by the 1960s, 1/3 of Canadians were not British or French. That's a lot when you think of it. So 1/3 of all Canadians were from other countries, from not from Great Britain and not from France. And so they were proud of their culture. And that's they said in the Canadian fabric. What that means is fabric is like clothes, like this, my sweater or your shirt. And so that is fibers connected like this to make to make it strong. That's what they mean by Canadian fabric. So everybody has their own culture, and together we connect, and then we are stronger. That's what it means. And then the last part, it says, today, a diversity enriches Canadian lives. So do you know the word diversity?
Diversity, I heard before, but I forget.
Yeah, I think we talked about it. So diversity means people have different cultures and ways of looking at the world. So diverse. It means many different ideas. And so diversity. So that means people from many different cultures and ways of looking at the world enriches Canadians' lives. That means it's good for Canada. Especially, it says, particularly in our cities. You've been to Toronto a few times, haven't you? Have you been to Toronto a number of times?
Yes.
Yeah.
I see there many different restaurants.
Yeah,
Chinese,
exactly.
Arabic, India.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about here. In the cities, they have, you know, many great restaurants from all different countries, and you can hear music from all different countries, and yeah, so that's what they're talking about mostly in our cities. Sometimes in the towns, in the small towns, it's not really diverse, but in the cities it is. It's very diverse. And Kitchener is a little bit diverse. I think we have a lot of people from different countries here. Yeah, but not like Toronto though.
No, like Toronto, yes.
Pardon me?
No, no, like Toronto.
No,
Toronto
no,
is too
no,
much.
no. Kitchener is not like Toronto. Yeah, some parts of Toronto, you can every street is a different like Kensington Market. I don't know if you know Kensington Market in Toronto near Spadina Street. There's so many different cultures there. Yeah, it's great though. The food is great. So anyways,
Exactly.
that's what the
You,
idea.
if you
Sorry,
visit Toronto, you can. It's similar. You if you visit all the world, all the
exactly.
countries.
Yeah, you can go to Toronto and it's like you're visiting all these different countries. That's right. Yeah, that's very good. Okay, so that's what they're talking about. I'm trying to think of the questions they might ask here. They would say maybe one third. Try to remember that one third in the 1960s, one third of Canadians were neither British or French. That might be a question. That would probably be a good question. Okay, good. Okay, now the next part on the other side of the page, some of this I'm going to read because there's so many names and you don't have to remember all these people's names. I'll get you to read the first part, and then I'm going to read maybe the second part because it's just a large number of people's names. Okay, so can you read the
Art,
part where, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
art and culture in Canada. Canadian artists have a long history of achievement in which Canadians take pride. Are art, art, arti, artists from all regions reflect re- reflect and define our culture and forms of creative creative create creative experience 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 and have achieved great great things both at home and abroad.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So it says Canadian artists have a long history of achievement. Do you know what achievement means? Do you know what that word achievement?
Chief, I know chief mean boss.
Yeah, yeah. So this word means this doesn't mean boss. This means a history of achievement. Achievement means to do something. It means to do something good.
Okay.
Achievement. Yeah. And so artists they have done many things that makes Canada proud. That's what it says. And then artists from all the different parts of Canada, they help us understand our culture, and they have different ways to express themselves, how to different ways to do their art, and they have achieved greatness. So they have done great things in Canada and abroad. Like I read in the paper, I saw in the paper or the news today that Drake, I don't know, do you like Drake? Drake's music? He's a Canadian artist. I'm just using him as an example.
I like Greek or Greek.
You like Drake?
Greek. It's country, right?
Oh no, the artist, the Canadian, he's a kind of a rap R&B guy.
Oh,
Do you know him? Drake? He's from Toronto.
oh yeah, Drake. I know. Yes, yes.
Yeah, you know that guy.
He song Kiki.
Yeah, yeah.
Kiki, love me. It's famous song, and every people do video with this song. He take off the car,
Yeah,
car
yeah,
running,
yeah.
take off. Kiki, do you love me?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I know Drake. It's famous. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So he just won. He just he had the most number one hits of more than Stevie Wonder and more than Aretha Franklin, like really high level. And so that's just an example of a Canadian artist who's doing very well in the world. Yeah. So let's see. Let's see the next part here. Maybe I'll just read maybe the next part because there's so many names here.
Okay.
Yeah, let me do the next part here. Okay. Okay, so it says Canadians have made significant contributions to literature in English and in French. Literature just means writing books. So many Canadians have written good books in both English and French. And it says novelists, poets, historians, educators, and musicians have had a significant cultural impact. Men and women of letters include, when they say men and women of letters, that means people who write books. So here, these are some famous Canadian writers. Stephen Leacock, Louis Hémon, Sir
Ethan Lee.
Charles G.D. Roberts, Pauline Johnson, Emily Nelligan, Robertson Davies, Margaret Lawrence, and Mordecai Richler. You don't have to remember all those names. That's too difficult. That's too difficult. Okay. So I just wanted you, those are all famous Canadians. Many Canadians know these people very well, but you don't have to remember them all. Then those are writers. Those are people who write books. Then it says musicians such as Sir Ernest Macmillan and Healy Willan won renowned in Canada and abroad. Okay, so there's more names for you. And then writers, let me just go down a bit here, please. Writers such as Joy Kogawa, Michael Ondaatje, and Rohinton Mistry have diversified Canada's literary experience. Wow, this is pretty high level English. Okay, I'll explain what that
A
means.
lot of names.
Yeah, it's a lot of names. It's hard for you to remember all of them. But what they're saying is the people who write books, literary experience, they do books about many different ideas, many different ideas. So when it says diversified Canada's literary experience, that means it's Canadians can read books about all different ideas in Canada. And we have many good writers. That's what it says. So if you can remember any of those names, I think you, I don't know.
I remember Emily.
You want to remember Emily Nelligan? Okay. We'll see what questions come up, but I hope they don't ask a lot of those questions because that's a lot of names to remember. Okay. So let's just go. Those are writers and some musicians. Okay, let's do the next part. I think I might do this one too because there's more names here. And then the last part I'm going to get you to read. Okay, so I'll just do this one. So the previous one talked about people who write books and musicians. And then this one is talking about the visual arts. So that means when you do painting, that type of thing, or art that you can see, you know? Okay, so this one says, in the visual arts, Canada is historically perhaps best known for the Group of Seven, founded in 1920, who developed a style of painting to capture the rugged wilderness landscapes. So do you remember we looked at, you can probably see this in your book. We saw this picture here of the Jack Pine. That's by Tom Thomson. He was a member of the Group of Seven. in the 1920s. That's a long time ago. And what they would do, they would go into the wilderness. They would go into the forests, into the mountains, up north, away from people, very far away from people. And then they would paint Canada. And their paintings are very, very beautiful. And many Canadians really love them because it makes us see Canada as a beautiful place. Yeah, so we are very proud of these people called the Group of Seven. They were 7 painters. And so then the next
photograph today.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, they did in 1920s, they did not many photographs, but now it's like photographs today. It's like people who would go up to north, people who take pictures of parts of Canada that maybe not everybody can see. Yeah, that's exactly right. Because people would paint and then they would bring these paintings back to the cities, and people in the cities could see, the north and the beautiful parts of Canada, because nobody had, cell phones and cameras back then. Yeah, exactly right. That's a good point. So here's another, let's see, Emily Carr. She painted the forests and Aboriginal artifacts of the West Coast. You might want to try to remember her name, Emily Carr. She was from British Columbia, and she did a lot of paintings of Aboriginal Aboriginal art in British Columbia, and she also painted forests. She was a very important painter in Canada. And then there's other names here, Les Automatistes of Quebec. They did abstract art in the 1950s. And then Jean-Paul Riopel. I don't know these ones very well, but they were apparently very, very popular. Quebec's Louis-Philippe Hébert was a celebrated sculptor of historical figures. Again, I'm sure you have to remember all these names, but they're just talking about some famous ideas. Let's do another one. Keno Dwak Ashevak pioneered modern Inuit art with etchings, prints, and soapstone sculptures. So he was an Inuit person, and he did Inuit art, and it was very popular because, like before, many people don't go to the north, the far north, and so the art lets them see what it was like. Yeah, very good. Okay, I'm not sure how much you have to remember that, but I just wanted to read that. And can you just do the last 2 paragraphs, and then we'll try some questions today. There's a lot of reading in this part.
Okay. Canada has a long and respected performing art history with a network of regional theatres and world-renowned performing arts campaigns. The films of Denis Arcand have been popular in Quebec and across the country, and have won international awards. Other noteworthy Canadian filmmakers include Norman Jewish and also Autumn Ingoni. Canadian television has had a popular following.
Very good. Okay. So before we talked about writers, And then we talked about visual arts like painters. And now this one, and we talked about musicians. And then this one is talking about actors, and in movies and in plays, like in Stratford, Ontario, the Stratford Festival is an example. It's people come from the United States, from many places to see the plays in Stratford. So that's an example of that. And then we have many Canadians who have made very popular movies, and then also television too. Yeah, so they're just talking about the good things Canadian artists have done. Okay, let's see if we can, we'll try to do some questions. This might be difficult because I'm trying to think, the dates, there's so many dates, but we'll try. Okay, so let's see. Would you like to try this question?
Okay. When did the Japanese Canadian gain the right to fly? Japanese was 48.
Yeah, I think you're right.
1948.
You're good. Good. And this one.
And Aboriginal people 1960, after
Okay.
12 years.
Yeah, very good. Oh, let's see. Can you read that? Did it go off the screen?
But
Okay.
by the 1960s, how many Canadians had organized that were neither British nor French? It's 1 2/3.
1/3?
Yes.
Very good.
Who were the group of 7? The 7 Canadian. 7 Canadian. 7 Canadian. Okay, so number 4.
Yeah, you're right. Very good. 7 Canadian visual artists who developed a certain style of painting. Very good.
Or 7 Canadians, 7 photograph Canadians.
You remember this?
Who were boys of modern abstract art in 1950? 1950. 1950. I don't remember this one.
You know it's not number 4.
Yes, number 1.
I think you're right, yeah. Yeah, very good. Very good.